Welcome to Career Coffee Chat Live. I'm your host, CoachEUrban, certified career strategist and executive coach, helping driven, experienced professionals remove career roadblocks to achieve more impact, income, and influence. And I am looking forward to having an in-depth discussion with you today about how to elevate your influence on LinkedIn. In fact, and more specifically, your ranking on LinkedIn. Yes, that's right. You and I and everybody else has a ranking or a SSI index on LinkedIn. Now, this may be somewhat mysterious for most professionals. In fact, you probably have no idea unless you are a quote unquote influencer or entrepreneur or brand strategist trying to elevate your impact and expand your network using LinkedIn as a social platform. As you might be a job seeker or even happily employed in a great career, it's important for you to understand how LinkedIn ranks you and, most importantly, how you can get real results leveraging this SSI index and increase your ranking on LinkedIn. Now, if you're just tuning in, please do say hi, say where you're from, say your name. I'd love to hear from you and greet you and welcome you to the Career Coffee Chat show. Don't forget about the Career Coffee Chat podcast, which is live on every channel, including my YouTube channel as well. And you can see more about that in the event description here on LinkedIn, Facebook, or if you're tuning in from YouTube. Now, if you are tuning in from other social channels other than LinkedIn, please do include your name when you are giving us a hi, how are you? Because sometimes I can't see your name, but I definitely want to welcome you to the show. So I'd love to hear from you. Please say hi, see where you're tuning in from as we go over how to increase your influence on LinkedIn. Now, you may be asking yourself, Aaron, why the heck should I increase my influence on LinkedIn anyway? What difference does that make? What is this SSI index that you're talking about? Well, great question. In fact, let me show you what that is. Now, for those of you who are just tuning in, you might want to hop over to linkedin.com/sales/SSI. Now, SSI is also called your social selling index. Now, what's important to note is that it doesn't necessarily have to do with sales, and we're all marketing ourselves, particularly if you're a job seeker or even if you're seeking to grow your influence and elevate your career in whatever career target you have. Hi, Sandy. It's great to see you tuning in from Cypress, Texas. We have Alan tuning in. Great to see you tuning in from Houston. Melissa, always wonderful to see you. Hi, how are you doing? And Paula, great to see you as well from Overland Park, Kansas City area. Woohoo, all right. Oh, there's a terrible echo. Well, I will try to talk more softly. How does that sound? Hi, Phil, great to see you tuning in from Cypress, Texas. So please do let me know if there is some sort of terrible echo or something going on, because I'm not in a quote unquote studio. This is my office. So what I would love for you to do, if you have the time, just hop over to linkedin.com/sales/SSI and check out your social selling index. Now, all of us are in the business of marketing ourselves, whether or not we are job seeking, whether or not we're entrepreneurs, brand strategists, or happily and gainfully employed in whatever career path you may have. So what we want to do is understand how LinkedIn ranks you. This is very important and something that I actually stumbled across almost by accident. And it was very illuminating when I realized what my ranking was within my industry. Hi, Art. Great to see you tuning in. Paula, no echo there. Okay, good to know. In Kansas City, we don't have an echo. Christine, lovely to see you as always, tuning in from Hopewell, New York. Sorry. So great to see you all. And please do take a few moments. You need to open up another screen. Just type in linkedin.com/sales/SSI. So just expand that a little bit so you can see that more clearly on your screen. What this will do is it will give you insights into what your LinkedIn ranking is. Now, they call it a social selling index, but literally it's your LinkedIn ranking amongst other industry professionals. When you identify what your industry is on LinkedIn, this is how it ranks you. So you might want to make sure, where are you and what is that standing that you have with LinkedIn. Great to see you, Avoy, tuning in from Richmond, Texas. So what is your LinkedIn ranking and why does it matter? Well, LinkedIn, and this is a snapshot of my social selling index, or my SSI score. Expand that a little bit for you. Now I'm 81 out of 100, which we would all love to be 100, but that's extremely difficult to achieve. Basically, I'm the top 1% rank out of those other professionals in my industry. So my network SSI rank is the top 1%, which is good. And it takes a lot of work to do that. The good news is if you're a job seeker, you do not have to have an 80 plus score as your SSI rank. In fact, most people will have around 20 to 40 as your SSI index. So what does that mean for you? Well, what this means is this is how LinkedIn ranks you among other professionals. And let's dive into what some of these categories might mean. For example, we have establishing a professional brand. We have connecting with the right people, engaging with insights, and building relationships. What does that mean to you, and why does it matter? Well, it gives you a lot of insights into how you're performing on the platform and how LinkedIn ranks you among other professionals. So take, for example, if you are job seeking and you are looking to elevate your rankings on LinkedIn, you definitely want to pay attention to this. So let's dive into a couple of these sections and what they mean for you and how you can elevate your index or your ranking on LinkedIn. So first of all, this first section has everything to do with how well you filled out your profile on LinkedIn. And if you have any questions as we go through this material and go through this information, I'm happy to pause and answer those questions, okay? So this is your time. I want to make sure your questions are answered. So what you can do to elevate your profile, make sure you fill out every single section. The wonderful thing about your LinkedIn profile is your full dossier. You can add things like videos. You can add media, PowerPoints. You can connect to websites. If you're a marketing professional or you have visual media included in your professional career, you definitely want to include your portfolio or link to work that you have done. If there is something you want to highlight, maybe you want to increase your influence on LinkedIn and you want to have connections to videos or presentations that you've done, definitely want to do that. So you can leverage LinkedIn in a lot of different ways. It's not just a collection of a bunch of words. It's also a full stack media dossier. You can add projects, publications, volunteer work. You definitely want to make sure your skills and endorsements are on point with the types of careers that you are seeking in your career target. Also, what we want to do is get recommended. This is very important. Now, what we don't need is 100 different recommendations, but what you do need is 3 to 4 relevant and recent recommendations of your work about you and your career target, okay? Another helpful thing is to publish articles. So if you are so inclined and you like to write, feel free to publish articles. Now, here's the thing. Articles do not have to be 3,000 words long or even 3,000 characters. They can be only 800 words or less. So it does not have to be this lengthy diatribe. It can be quite short and to the point. In fact, a lot of people appreciate shorter articles because our attention spans aren't what they used to be. What else can you do? Well, let's talk about this next section, which is, I think I went ahead one too far, which is daily activity and searching for people. So what you want to do every day is you want to be active on LinkedIn. Now, that does not mean just liking. I think I saw it said somewhere, whereas if you like something on any social media platform, that's almost like saying you don't care. So you definitely want to do more than just like or even giving someone a heart. You want to be able to comment and have daily activity on LinkedIn and searching for the right people, which is good news for those of you who are interested in developing your network on LinkedIn. Now, how might you want to do that? Well, let's just say you're looking to expand your career and pivot into a certain industry. Well, you can do searches on LinkedIn by that industry or by a company, and then see who works for that company or in the industry. And LinkedIn will probably bring back those connections based on your first, second, and third degree connections, and then also based on their ranking. That's right. So those people who are almost never on LinkedIn probably won't be very high on those ranking and those search results. So when someone searches for, let's just say, career coaching, I come up because I have an 81% SSI index or ranking on LinkedIn. Now, you don't have to have something that high if you're job seeking, but it is important that you do be active on LinkedIn. We'll talk a little bit more about what that looks like in a moment. So if you have typed in linkedin.com/sales/SSI, let me know what's your SSI index in the comments. Okay, if you've taken a moment to do that, let me know what is your SSI index and what questions you have in the comments. So what next? Well, like, share, comment, send private messages. Now, like I said before, don't just like, please don't do that. Comment and share relevant material. So it's not just all about blogging or doing videos like this one, live or otherwise, but you can comment and share and add relevant content on LinkedIn. This is extremely important, particularly for those of you who are considering a career pivot. You definitely want to focus on your career target and what relevant information is meaningful to individuals inside that career path. And don't hesitate to tag people with discretion. Don't over tag. That's not good. So don't tag people all the time, but occasionally tagging people is perfectly fine. What that does is it not only alerts your network, but also alerts their network and expands your overall reach. Do not use this all the time. Please do use this with discretion because it will get old and people will actually unfollow you or disconnect with you if you do it too much. So comment on things. The rule of 5 is great. So you don't want to just say thanks or good share. Let's be a little bit more detailed than that, okay? And send private messages. What does that mean? Well, good news for those of you who are job seeking, want to reach out to maybe hiring managers or people within organizations that you're interested in. This is a way to elevate your SSI index and your ranking on LinkedIn. So Alan said, my SSI is 70. That's great, Alan. That's wonderful. Congratulations. Let's all give Alan a round of applause. That's great. So good for you. You can do more if you want. So let's go dive into in a few minutes what that might look like if you want to even take that to the next level. Paula says it looks like a little bit different than yours, but mine has a premium, so it might be the reason why. But hers is 62. That's also great. Congratulations, Paula. Let me go over here and share that. So congratulations. Good for you at having 62%, because most people only have 20 or 30 or 40% as their ranking. But Paula, I know you're very active on LinkedIn. And Alan, you're also working on being a LinkedIn influencer as well. So good work. This is great news. So let's talk about what else we need to focus on, particularly this last bar here. How many connections you have. So this matters, how many connections you have and how many requests are accepted. This is very, very important. So it's not just all about having thousands and thousands and thousands of connections. It also has to do with how many requests are accepted. And we'll talk about more in a minute what matters to that, why some things are not accepted and why they are, and how you make sure that your request is accepted. Because if for any reason somebody clicks, I don't know this person, that's bad. If that happens too many times, you can go to LinkedIn jail, and we don't want that. We don't want to be in LinkedIn jail, which if you get there, it's not the end of the world. You can ask very nicely and say you're sorry and I'll never do this again, and ask very nicely and get out of LinkedIn jail. But you definitely want your connection request to be accepted, or at least if they're not accepted, for people not to click, I don't know this person. So Phil says, my needs work, mine is 19. Well, Phil, that is honestly around about what most people's SSI index is. So don't feel bad. That's okay. What the good news is you have lots of opportunity. So look at it that way. Hi, Kimberly, tuning in from 4 Oaks, North Carolina. Christine's like, 58. Hey, Christine, that's not bad at all. That's actually really, really good. So stick with me. Let's talk about what you can do to elevate your SSI index, because this is very important information. Well, some of the things you can do are like what I do. Some of these posts may be even familiar to you. We want to share relevant content. Now, what does that mean? Well, that can mean articles, that can mean videos, that can mean, hey, highlighting someone's LinkedIn profile. People like that, right? You can put photos with information. There's two different types of posts other than articles. There's long form and short form posts. Now, what does that mean? Well, short form post is a very short, condensed amount of information with usually an article or some sort of informational content, right? But you definitely want to add your 2 cents. So even if you're sharing someone else's article or an article from Harvard Business Review, Forbes, and the like, you definitely want to put your take on that share. And most importantly, have a question. Because here's the deal, you can share all day long, and we are in a society of telling people things. What we don't want to do is we don't want to just be guilty of telling and not engaging. Make sense? It's very important that we engage our network. And how we do that is by asking questions. And I'll be honest with you, very transparent, saying that I struggle with this sometimes too. I have so much information I want to give to people that sometimes I fall into the trap of telling. I need to make sure that I ask questions. So let's just say you're getting ready to share an article that's industry specific and hopefully will engage your network, particularly since you're making a career pivot into another industry or wanting to grow your influence in a certain industry. Well, what you can do is you can say, this article inspired me because of such and such. What are your thoughts? Do you think blah, blah is true? People love to give their opinion. So ask questions. Invite people to have a conversation in the comments. That's what engagement is all about, right? So let me know if you have any questions about that, because I won't be going into all the details of every form of post. But the most important thing for you to remember is no matter what you post, whether it's a photo, a meme, an article, a document, you definitely want to have engagement with that post on any social media platform. But in this case, we're specifically targeting LinkedIn. Hi, Glenn, tuning in from Washington, D.C. Great to see you. Hi, Kiki. Great to see you from San Francisco. So Christine asks, so we can share this recording and ask what everyone's SSI score is? Yes, you can. Christine, great idea. So you can share this recording, you can share this live video with your network and say, wow, look what I found out. What's your SSI score? And people will start looking it up and they'll be like, oh my gosh, mine's this, mine's that. And on the plus side, you're helping your network, which is also good. So yes, engagement is a great way to encourage people to interact with your post. Because if you post something and you get crickets, what's the point, right? There is no point, and you're just getting crickets on your post. So what do you do with that information? Let's talk about that, because that's also important. And it's important for me also to note that if you want to elevate your career, my book is coming out in December. So get in on the launch party, because this book will be going for a really deep discount. And if you're interested in elevating your career for more impact and income and overcoming roadblocks and propelling yourself into a career uplift in your target industry, definitely want to get in on this book launch at my website, upsolutions.net/books, or CoachEUrban and go to books. So you may be asking yourself, well, Aaron, all this elevate your influence business sure sounds nice, but I don't have any connections. Well, up until the latest update in 2019, and believe me, there has been about 1,000 more updates since then, LinkedIn had created sort of a superstar echo chamber, and they realized that and they corrected it, which was good. Because what happened is they then adjusted the algorithm to make sure that people you know were highlighted. Take, for example, this particular post got over 16 comments and 595 views. And this was within just a few hours. So this is very important to note, because those of you who feel like, oh, I have to have 20,000 people following me or connected to me, that's not the case anymore. In fact, I am connected with quite a few quote unquote influencers on LinkedIn who have very large followings, and their followings are suffering. They're not seeing as many results. And in fact, people who have less connections are seeing more engagement with their posts, which is great. And another way you can increase engagement, particularly with those in your network and not keep seeing the same people over and over again, is on your news feed, instead of having top, click to recent. So on your newsfeed, on your app, on your phone, or what have you, you can actually navigate your newsfeed from top to recent. It's just a toggle button. You click recent. All of a sudden, you see a host of new faces and new information. And it removes, I always have to say, the blah, because you can continue to see the same people over and over and over again, because that's what the algorithm does. I would have to say the algorithm, while it's better, tends to put people in boxes a little bit. But what's good to know is you don't have to have a ton of network connections to have engagement on your post. And also, something I found out recently is you have an emotional post, particularly around job search, LinkedIn's algorithm has been tweaked to highlight those types of posts. You don't need a photo or a document or an article or anything like that. For example, one of my network connections, Jennifer, she just got a promotion within Amazon and she's moving across the country. No photo, just a long form post about her experience, and we have tons of engagement. Hundreds of people are congratulating her. Those types of posts are very engaging, and LinkedIn will consider that a viral type post and will share that out more often. Also, another gentleman posted his frustration after experiencing a negative interview. So he interviewed and he was told that, hey, you're great, you have great experience, but you've been at your prior job too long. And he was super frustrated about that, because what do you mean I'm being punished for being a loyal employee and being at a great job? So he was frustrated. He was sharing his frustration on LinkedIn. Tons of engagement, tons of support, and quite a few people reached out to him about potential opportunities. So don't feel afraid to share some things that you're going through in your life. Yes, it's not Facebook. It's not Facebook on LinkedIn, okay? But don't feel like you only have to share very formal content and very structured content, because being a person will get you a lot farther on social media, regardless of what platform you're using. Hopefully that makes sense. So what are engaging posts? Well, we talked about long form and short form posts, okay, first of all. But what we want to do is dive a little bit more into what that might look like. So long form posts are more than just a few notes when you share an article or have a photo. A long form post includes maybe a call to action, a question, your thoughts and your take on something. It takes a little bit more time, but it's totally worth it. And if you'll look at some of the posts that I share most commonly on LinkedIn, you'll notice that a lot of that is long form post. Also, feel free to share videos, and no, they don't have to be just your own. They can be someone else's. You'll say, oh, I found this video and such, it was very informative. I took this or got this key takeaway. What are your thoughts? That sort of thing. Ask questions, like I mentioned before. That's the key to engagement. Unless you ask questions, engage people, they won't pay any attention to you. And speaking of asking questions, what questions do you have for me so far? We've talked about content. We've talked about your SSI index. This is how you can elevate that SSI index and engage more on LinkedIn. Share valuable, insightful content. Give kudos. Create a poll. Share a profile photo. You can do tons of things that will elevate your SSI ranking. And quite frankly, ladies and gentlemen, if you pay it forward, guess what? Get a lot more return on something when you pay it forward without expectation of return. When you are engaging with any post, so let's just say it's not a post you necessarily posted, but it's something you want to engage in. Like I said before, a like, a heart, a thumbs up, whatever, it's not that meaningful. We need to do more than that. So when you do comment, be specific, be relevant, be valuable, be brief. Depending, sometimes you don't have to be brief. If you want to have a diatribe, just know that not everybody will read all of that. But the rule of 5 is very important. You have to have at least 5 words. So thanks or good share isn't enough. So you want to focus on appropriate comments, quick stories, accolades, or something that can share value. Use hashtags at your discretion, only 2 or 3, don't go crazy with it, and have a call to action if appropriate. For example, if you want to share something that says, oh, hey, you know, I learned about this at such and such, and here's a great article that's also relevant, do so. That's perfectly fine for you to comment and share information on the video or a link to an article or whatever you like. You can totally do that, absolutely. And most importantly, what do you do when people engage with your post? Well, let's talk about that in a moment. So what the algorithm does, and if you want to, make sure you screenshot this information. If you want to learn more about LinkedIn's algorithm specifically, and this is a whole bunch of techie nerdy stuff, please screenshot this or come back to this later in the replay and go look at this article, because I don't want to bore you to death with a bunch of tech speak. If you're interested in knowing what the algorithm does and how it does it, this will break that down in more detail. How often should you engage? Well, increase your SSI index or your ranking on LinkedIn. You want to be active at least 3 days a week. And like I said before, likes are not enough. Comment on posts more than 5 words and share valuable, relevant, insightful content in an engaging way. In other words, asking questions. Now, what if someone comments or likes or engages with your content or your comments? How do you follow up? Now, this is gold, because quite frankly, by doing a follow-up, I was able to gain 500 people in my connections in 1 day. That's right. What you want to do is you want to connect with people to comment on your content or your post. That will help you tremendously to expand your network. And it gives you a relevant point of connection. Because if you just send a connection with no note and no point of relevancy or connection, it's very hard for people to say, oh, I know this person, or, oh, you have a reason for reaching out to me. It could be something spammy. People don't want that. They're very, very keen on not being spammed these days. I'm sure that makes sense. So when someone comments on your content or your comment on another post, you can say, thank you for liking or commenting on my post. I really appreciate that. I'd love to connect with you here on LinkedIn. Easy peasy, right? Time delay may decide whether you need that note. So if it's right away and someone just commented, or if like some influencers like Bridget Highsmith, she does a lot of influencer posts that says, oh, let's all connect. So anybody that wants to connect, you'll use this post and we'll all connect, just comment here and everybody connects. Well, even with those, oftentimes I'll use a note, because you never know, this person may have liked her post or commented on her post and then walked away for 3 days. I don't know. So, but it depends on time delay. So if that person just commented or liked and you want to just send them a connect request without a note, you can. It won't be the end of the world, but it also helps to have a note, okay? So let me know if you have any questions about this. I know I'm throwing a lot at you about long form posts and short form posts and your SSI index, and you're going, what in the world? But most importantly, what I would like you to do is not only, if you want to elevate your influence on LinkedIn, but elevate your career in general, please do get in on my book launch coming in December. More information about that is in the event description. So, what are your thoughts? What do you want to tackle first? So when it comes to elevating your SSI index, you can do a lot of things. Do you want to comment, just comment on other people's posts? Do you want to share a post? And are you struggling with what type of content to share or what's relevant to your network? And there are other ways to increase your ranking. So even if you're a job seeker and you're just reaching out to people that inside your target career trajectory, for example, or who are influencers in their own right, and you want to reach out to them, that also helps elevate your rankings. But I do highly recommend that you have a personal note when you reach out to these individuals, all right? So let me know what questions you have, and I want to make sure that I can help you in your endeavors to increase your impact and your influence on LinkedIn. And note, like I said before, if you're not comfortable with videos, don't worry about it. Not everybody has to do a video or write an article or do all the things. What is important is that you engage with people on LinkedIn and do more than just like something or put a few comments here and there. It's important to leverage the platform. And why is that? Well, quite frankly, as we move forward into the future of work, there will be less in person, and particularly for the next year or so. I'm no medical specialist, but as of right now, it doesn't look like we're going to go back full bore on in-person contact like we were pre-pandemic. So it will take some time for us to adjust, find out what the appropriate level of in-person contact is. During that time, we will be at a distance from one another. More remote work, more digital opportunities in the workplace. Unfortunately, the downside of that is people don't know you as a person. And particularly if you're trying to expand outside of your current industry or your current company, how can you do that if you're not seeing people in person? While online networking and digital networking is getting better, it's still a bit awkward, and it takes a very good facilitator to make that work. So in order for you to expand your influence and elevate your search rankings on LinkedIn, it's important for you to become more savvy with the LinkedIn platform and leverage your influence in that space. So hopefully that makes sense to you and what you can do to elevate your SSI rankings. So Christine asked a very good question here. If you tag someone in a post, does that share it with their network? Yes, it does. It does share it with their network as well. Do you find people outside of your network commenting if you do not tag anyone? Not very often, okay? I'll be honest with you. So the algorithm varies depending on the viral quality of your post. If your post is considered a viral quality, which means how many people respond to your post within a certain amount of minutes after you post it, then LinkedIn will share that with more people. But LinkedIn does not share anyone's content with their full network. That doesn't happen. In fact, it's a very low percentage. And then the algorithm watches how that post performs. If a certain amount of people do respond to it within a certain amount of time with it liking or commenting, then LinkedIn might consider that a quote unquote viral post, and it will share it with more people. That is the only way you can get people outside of your current network to actually comment on and engage on your post. So tagging is the best way to expand that reach. However, please use that with discretion, because I have personally been tagged in quite a few posts. And while that's okay to a point, I can't respond to all of them. So don't take it personal if I don't respond to all of them, because I get tagged on quite a few. And that's great, and I totally understand why. However, don't do it all the time. And certainly after you tag someone on a post, don't send them a message telling them to respond to it, because I've got that happen. I've had that happen as well. And it's a little interesting. It doesn't send the best impression, let's put it that way. But yes, tagging does increase your network or your network reach, and ensure that you'll reach people outside, hopefully outside of your current network and followers. Any other questions that you may have for me? Now keep in mind that if you are job seeking, for example, if your ranking is very low or you're not very active on LinkedIn, you will suffer in search rankings. And know this, every recruiter uses LinkedIn, every single one of them. So, and as a matter of fact, research has shown that recruiters who find valid candidates on LinkedIn are more likely to put that candidate forward over someone who may be arguably more qualified for the role, but applied through traditional means. So you definitely want to make sure that not only is your LinkedIn profile on point, but you're leveraging the platform and being engaging on the platform, because that will affect your SSI ranking. Hopefully that makes sense. Alan asked, how exactly does LinkedIn measure the quote unquote right people? My score is relatively low for finding quote unquote the right people. Well, how you find the right people, Alan, is you do an active search. So that's a little bit easier if you have a premium account, because you're not limited in how many searches you can do. But let's just say you're looking for, in your case, professionals in quality or continuous improvement. And you want to, or maybe you're interested in specific companies. You want to reach out to those people and connect with them. A great way of doing that is leveraging your common professional development platforms or professional development organizations. Hint, hint, because I know you're a member of American Society of Quality. Leverage that professional organization to find other professionals to contact and connect with. And you can leverage that as a commonality. That's very important. When you send that message, all you have to do is say, I noticed you're also a member of ASQ. I, am interested in growing my network within the professional organization, and I'm really impressed by your work, or whatever you want to say. Flattery gets you everywhere. Would you like to connect on LinkedIn? All right. So it's that commonality, finding that common connection that really helps people understand, oh, this is a real person. They're not out to scam me for some reason, and they'll want to connect with you. So great question, Alan. So finding the right people is all about doing that search, specific focus search, and connecting with those people. And that's what the algorithm, quote unquote, judges you or ranks you on for that particular area. And I will also admit that I don't do that great of a job on it. If you'll notice, when you cast your mind back to my SSI score, I was a little low on that. I could do a better job. But, it's a fine balance. For me, I'm not a person who just wants to reach out to people for no random reason, just reaching out to them. I feel like, because I am a coach, I don't want to be considered a spammy person. I have seen people do this. They leverage these LinkedIn in messages and send things out, and that's just my style. So I'll probably always be a little low in that. And Christine said, you can search for me. She's also in QA. So there you go. We've made a connection here today. Yay. All right. So I'm really excited to share with you this information. If you have any questions later on as you dive more into your SSI index on LinkedIn and try to evolve your rankings, please feel free to comment on this thread or send me a message directly. I'll be happy to answer any questions as I'm able. As always, it's been a deep pleasure. I look forward to speaking with you next week on the Career Coffee Chat Show live. And don't forget the Career Coffee Chat Show podcast as well. And my book launch coming up in December. If you want to get in on that launch and get in on the launch party, yes, there's going to be a party, then please do check that out online on my website back in under books. You'll get that. Click the launch button to be a part of the launch party. I'm very excited to speak with you today and looking forward to next week's topic. And until then, have a great day. And here's to elevating your career.